Alrighty, fans, welcome to the first sports chat of 2014. Before we get going, not a bit to talk about, but a big shout out to Will Irwin watching us out there in internet land. Will's in the military and defends our country, but he keeps up with Campbell County sports through us. So, Will, thank you for watching.
Glad to have you on board, Will. Here at Papa John's headquarters, which you were here with us, having some of the fantastic pizza and cheese sticks we had today.
They were good.
Thanks to the Papa John's here. Wonderful studio, wonderful accommodations they provide us with. But I guess on to sports now.
A lot of stuff going on. Border Bowl happened this weekend. Campbell County had a good showing. Andrew Evans even got added late into the roster and went up and represented his school well. Did you happen to see the picture of the rings they got for that?
Oh, that was bling. They racked up some big rings, recognition. A lot of coaches, a lot of college coaches watched those games. Nick looked like he, rolled around in a mud hole for a few hours, but that's just a sign of him playing all out there and getting a lot of playing time. And Corey and Andrew got to play as well. Apparently they had a good time. Coach Price had a good time.
Yeah, and Matt got to coach. It was a lot of people we'd seen throughout the year on that team. There were 4 or 5 AC folks there. There was Drake, the receiver from Clinton, who signed with ETSU. Jawan Stinson was on the team. 4 or 5 players from Knox West.
Very East Tennessee heavy, battling the Kentucky Jackals up there. I always want to beat Kentucky.
Oh, you should always want to beat Kentucky.
But yeah, they had a good time. That pretty much was the unofficial end to 2013 football season for Campbell County. It's the last action.
Of course, this weekend we've got the banquet.
And we'll have the banquet to give out all the various awards they've won over the course of the season and course of the postseason. Acknowledge those players, and then pretty much on to spring practice on the football front.
But at the same time, the basketball team, the boys got a big win over AC over the weekend.
Yeah, they had a game postponed because of the polar vortex coming to visit last week, which also delayed our sports chat because we wanted to go outside when it was 3 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like y'all that much.
But we got back underway. First Thursday night, there was a big,
the rivalry game.
Battle of the Birds Part 2, La Follette versus Jacksboro.
Went very similar to the first one.
La Follette swept every game, and La Follette, Matt Cain has got La Follette playing really well this season.
Actually, Michael. Matt's his brother.
Yes, Michael. Sorry, Mike.
Mike's a good coach. I remember when he played at the high school. He was a good ball player, and of course Jacksboro's got, there's some talent on that team. I think Cody Parker will do well in the postseason tournament with his team. Of course, the Lady Eagles on the other side swept.
No, it was the Lady Owls.
I mean, the Lady
Swept.
Owls swept,
Yeah.
and
They're playing well too, and it's
well, Johnny Cox, their coach, he's tremendous. He's honestly probably the best basketball coach in the county.
Skylar Boshears is playing really well for the Lady Owls, and she had 19, I think.
Yeah, of course, we went to high school with her dad, Doug. And Doug was a good ball player, and Skylar is the student that has outstripped her master in Doug. She is an excellent ball player.
Yeah, she's gonna. I'm sure Ryan Browning's looking forward to getting her on the team up there. I mean, Lady Cougars lost to Anderson County 33-20. It's a low scoring
Very
game.
low scoring game.
Tough to handle. Getting swept by AC on the season. They may get a chance to play them again in the district tournament. Hopefully, anyway. AC's usually got a very good team on the girls' side of things.
Yeah, they were all, even at Campbell County's girls' height a couple years ago, AC was the team that gave them fits.
AC's the only team that actually beat them, and the AC managed to get 1 win against them in 2 years, but Campbell County was just that good. And, Darren Gillenwater really poured it on in the game the other night. Had 19 points. Campbell County looked like they were cruising. They were up by 6 points late in the fourth quarter, and AC went on a run. Ended up getting ahead 43-42. But Gillenwater came down. I think he hit a 3-pointer and then made free throws, and the defense didn't let Anderson County score the rest of the night.
Darren is, when he's on, he is just money.
Oh, yeah, he's got range up to 25 feet. good ball handler, good scorer. He was in middle school. He is now. I thought he might be a little taller than he ended up being because he was pretty tall in middle school. But
Right, he just,
He's
of course,
pretty
he could hit a late growth
possible.
spurt. but-
He fell into the guard mold. I thought he may be a post player, and he played in the post in middle school, but he's turned out to be an outstanding guard and Campbell County's leading scorer. And so it's hard to beat that. He zinging threes, taking it to the rim, and that was Campbell County was playing without Bailey and.
Well, actually,
Bailey,
Evans and Phillips, I think
Phillips,
both play
I think
basketball.
they all three
too,
play.
so-
And so that Campbell County was once again football took a few players off Coach Halsey's squad, but he still managed to go out and go down to Anderson County and get a big road win. And it's,
And I hope
That's
they
the
beat
line.
those Jackals at Halls tonight.
oh yeah, Hall's a terrible bunch of people. We should be able to beat them.
Oh, yeah. Anywhere that would let, yeah, I'm just gonna stop there. Of course, this Friday night coming up is homecoming for the Cougars, so hopefully everybody will come out and support the team, support the homecoming candidates.
Yeah, I have supporting Agley, the exchange student, because Carmen backs her. Got to do what Carmen says.
That's true. Very true. And, of course, Saturday night's the football banquet.
Well, we should have fun at the football.
That should be a good night.
Usually
Buddy's
do.
Barbecue will be there.
Coach Price and the rest of the coaches and even that rotten Josh Parker, they take pretty good care of us at the football banquets and take good care of the players, make sure everything's arranged nicely. It's always a fun time.
It is, and it's at Ball Farm this year, and that's a really nice facility.
Moving up a level in sports. Yeah, I still wear it. I'll wear it till I die.
I'm still also.
Cuonzo Martin's got to go.
Oh yeah.
I can't take any more of it. I don't see how the administration can take any more of it. Jimmy Cheek, you're a jackal. You need to go back to Florida, join your other hyenas down there, and just be a Gator. You're killing the UT athletic program. I mean, my gosh, there's inexplicable how you should be ahead by 20 points over that Texas A&M team in the first half. Texas A&M played as terribly as a team can play in the first half. Awful. Put up 18 points. You need to be ahead by at least 20 points. And then you come out and you blow that because one player, James for Texas A&M, he's hitting every shot he takes. You don't double team him. You just refuse to do that. Martin's known for not wanting to change anything up. He doesn't change his defense. He doesn't change anything, no matter what's happening. The game, he makes no changes during the game. The only thing that changed in that game is in the first few minutes of the game, we got it to a big lead because they fed Jarnell Stokes in the post. He responded with 2 3-point plays. Second half, you couldn't get in the ball in the post. They were jacking up threes and taking wild drives. And it just, inexplicably bad defense. You get the ball, 4.5 seconds to go. I strongly recommend that minimum you probably should run up to half court and call timeout. You can probably get up to half court with a decent pass and still have 3 seconds to go. And some people argue, don't want to give the team the other time to set up a play, but Bruce Pearl was always a master of drawing up inbound plays and getting a basket off of them. You've got to get a better look than when you just rush up and take a 28-foot shot fading away, which is what we ended up getting. Some of the players said after the game, they didn't know how much time was on the clock. They didn't know what the situation was.
How as a coach, you don't have a dedicated assistant coach that's signaling that to the players?
I mean, Willie Barton said they had no play. I mean, the clock had stopped 17 seconds for Jerome Mammon to miss those 2 free throws, who probably shouldn't have been in the game, to be honest with you. He's a 65% free throw shooter. And I know he got it off a rebound, but you got to have your best free throw shooters in the game at that point. When you have a lead and there's under 20 seconds to go in the game, and you use your timeouts to sub in defenders. That's what most coaches would do. Cuonzo, he apparently thinks you get to save those timeouts and use them the next game. He had 3 and weren't using them.
I've never understood coaches that save timeout. They're such a valuable tool.
Yeah, in that situation, you got to use your timeouts to get the ball. The play before, they threw the ball into the corner. A deadly mistake. You have to know better than to have your team throw a ball into the corner of the like that. He threw it in the corner, and they immediately trapped Jordan McRae, who wraps his arm all the way around the player. You're going to get called for a foul, and he did. I mean, Martin, as soon as the ball came into the corner, Martin should have called a timeout because he's trapped there. But that should be one lesson you teach your kids. You throw the ball into the middle of the floor. If you can't throw it into the middle of the floor, call timeout.
That's what they're there for.
You don't throw it to the corner. If you throw it to the corner, got trapped, Tennessee turns it over, and Texas A&M took advantage of it. Just it was sickening to watch. It's a team that you should have beaten, and Texas A&M's RPI was 146 coming into the game. You got to beat that team. You got to beat that team at home. You have few chances for quality wins in this league to raise your RPI.
Pretty much your chances for quality wins in this league are Kentucky and Florida if you're Tennessee.
Kentucky, Florida, at Missouri. That was
I forgot about Missouri.
Tennessee's RPI raise. LSU raised their RPI from around 60 to in the upper 30s. That was perfect. That setup. You just take care of your business at home against bad teams like Texas A&M, and you'll be fine. But we go out and lose to Texas A&M. The RPI fell down to 55. Last year's 55 RPI team, Baylor, NIT. That's where you're going. This roster's talented as heck. You can't have this. Seth, I think his name's Seth. Oh, you remember the guy? He's on CBS all the time. His name's Seth.
Yes.
I can't remember his last name right now. So, but his column today called Tennessee the most disappointing team in the country.
It is. I mean, look at the McCray.
And McCray, he averages 20 points a game. He got 3 fouls yesterday. Cuonzo Martin treated him like a freshman, and he only played 20 minutes. Texas A&M made their big run with McCray on the bench for about a 10-minute stretch.
You have the monstrous Jarnell Stokes.
He averages 15 points and 10 rebounds a game. People complain about him. If
he
they
gets
give Stokes the
double-double
ball,
every game.
He's a double-double machine. That's all you can expect out of him.
Yeah, and Maimon.
Maimon's averaging 10 points and 10 rebounds a game. You shouldn't be losing games like this. I mean, this Tennessee team realistically should probably be 10. I think they're 9-5 now. I would say they should have 12 or 13 wins at the minimum. Probably 13 or 14 wins, to be honest with you. Because it turns out most people expected them to make it maybe to the finals of the tournament they were in, the battle for Atlantis, and probably lose to Kansas. Kansas is not doing that great this year. This team probably should have won that tournament with the talent that it has. But everybody else is like that UTEP loss was just terrible. Losing to NC State at home was bad. NC State's not that great.
Losing to Wichita State was just RPI killing. They're a good team, but you needed to beat them for your RPI.
Hell, there was a chance to boost the RPI, and that's the only game that I can understand that they lost this year. At Wichita State, it's a really tough game against a good team on the road. It's a true road game, and I could see them losing that game and maybe slipping up one other time. But to have lost 5 games already and be sitting at 9-5, and now having to probably win something like 13, 14 SEC games to have a chance at the tournament, because the SEC, frankly, is probably only going to get 4 teams in. And Kentucky, Missouri, and Florida have 3 of those 4 spots almost locked up already, unless they collapse. But it's just terrible. Cuonzo Martin he's awful. He makes no adjustments. His recruits aren't that great. Next year, imagine this team now. Jordan McCray averages 20 a game. Jerome Maimon averages, I think, 10.8, so that's 11 a game.
Stokes averages at least
Stokes
10
averages about 12 points a game. So you're taking off basically 42 points on a team that averages about 70 points a game against decent competition. They've had some high scores against just terrible teams like Tusculum. No offense, Chris, Tusculum's pretty bad, especially when playing against a Division I team. But you take that away, that's half the offense gone. You're going to have Hub, who didn't end up playing. He looked terrible before he went out with the injury, but I've actually heard a rumor today that he was disgruntled and may transfer. Hopefully that's not the case. But you're going to have nothing coming back on offense. You're losing half your offense, and your Cuonzo doesn't recruit exactly, world beaters.
No.
So far, or at least if he does, you don't know it because
he's a basketball Derek Dooley.
Now his buyout goes away, not away, but it cuts in half for the remainder of his contract, March the 31st. So, and it's still a buyout, but you've got to fire him at that point. Bruce Pearl showed that if you have a coach here that wins, basketball revenue's high. There was the old idea, you expect him to sell popcorn from Roy Williams when they fired Buzz Peterson. Turns out Bruce Pearl came in and sold popcorn.
Literally.
I mean, he increased the sales of just snacks in the arena and concessions so much that Tennessee made $4 million a year extra just off concessions when Bruce Pearl was here. And the other revenues rose. They were able to build the new practice facility and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, just the improvements they made on Thompson Bowen itself when he was there. I mean, we've been in the luxury boxes.
The luxury boxes in, and you didn't have to have the black curtains out anymore. I want to say revenue for basketball went up by around $10 million a year under Bruce Pearl. How can you justify keeping a coach and not wanting to pay supposedly the $1.8 million? Because I've heard we don't want to pay another buyout because we're hard on cash. How can you excuse not paying $1.8 million for a coach when your upside is you make a profit of $10 million by getting rid of it?
And it's like you said this weekend, they have to come up with Pearl with an offer and make him turn them down to get a lot of the fan base.
And that's the only way the fan base is going to get off your back is if you make. I don't know that Pearl will come back. The administration currently here, with Jimmy Cheek especially, they did Pearl pretty dirty. Yeah, he lied to the NCAA about that, but it turns out that Cheek and some other people knew about some things, and they didn't tell Pearl about it. They pretty much set Pearl up to take the fall. And then the supposed bump violation, which there wasn't a bump violation. Pearl was completely innocent of that. That got Pearl suspended for 8 games. Apparently Mike Slive, there's a many feel that Mike Slive, the SEC commissioner, and Jimmy Cheek colluded a little bit with each other and just used that to shove Pearl out the door. And that was a harsh penalty. Frank Haith was involved in every dirty thing you can be. Frank Haith was writing checks to agents and guys that Frank Haith was writing checks to a booster to pay him back for paying players. Frank Haith got a 5-game suspension. Bruce Pearl for lying about it, and Frank Haith lied about it, and admitted he lied about it. He changed his story 3 times during the NCAA investigation. 3 times he changed his story. So he lied to the NCAA. The NCAA said they knew he was lying. Frank Haith got a 5-game suspension. Bruce Pearl got a 3-year show cause where he was not allowed to work unless someone showed everything that they need, every possible reason that they would have to hire Bruce Pearl.
A show cause is basically the death penalty for a coach while it's in effect.
I mean, you can still coach, but you can't go out recruiting on the road, and the school that hires you has to show the NCAA the cause they have for hiring you at that point. So, 3-year suspension plus half a year and half a year's pay in the SEC for that barbecue and his one lie versus 5 games for Frank Haith at Missouri, who's just living it up in Missouri right now. For writing checks to boosters out of the school's athletic fund because the booster was paying players. He was paying the booster back for paying players and then lying about that multiple times to the NCAA. And what the crap is that? That's a bunch of crap. And people who say you can't hire Bruce Pearl back here, look at Bobby Petrino up the road in Louisville. You know what Louisville likes to do?
Win.
They like to win.
You know what Louisville's going to do under Bobby Petrino?
They're going to win.
Because Bobby Petrino's a darn good coach.
Rick Pitino, all those off-the-court issues, the affair, the nasty lawsuit. Rick Pitino just won the national championship. Louisville pays him $5 million a year. They gave Bobby Petrino $3.5 million a year. Rick Pitino makes more than Cuonzo Martin, or probably what we would be willing to offer any other coach, and Butch Jones put together. Bobby Petrino almost does. Actually, Bobby Petrino may make more than them now. I think that Butch makes $2 million a year, and Cuonzo Martin makes $1.2 million.
So Petrino makes about the same as them.
Petrino makes $300,000 more basically than they do, and that's ridiculous that we can't pay anybody. And I know that if they do fire Martin, they're going to go bargain basement.
Oh yeah, listen.
Because that's what they do.
I mean, we know it. We've talked about it. We hate Alabama. We hate Auburn. But
Terrible people.
At least their athletic departments are willing to put forth the effort to win.
Oh yeah, and it makes money. This is what I don't understand too about the way UT's ran. And I have to assume it's because they give money back to the academic side, and they're one of the few schools that do this. UT athletics, they run it basically at no profit margin, so they never have a lot of profit in it. For whatever reason, Tennessee's athletic department takes in about $102 million a year, and they spend about $102 million a year. What are they spending it on? They don't spend it on coaching salaries, because even if you count the buyouts we're paying, you're still paying less a year for most people places do than.
Right.
Of course, we pay our women's basketball coach, Holly Warlick, a very inflated salary compared to
And they're doing so well this year.
Yeah, they're doing very terribly.
It's always fun at the Peebly residence right now when the Lady Vols are playing.
Yeah, she probably needs to go, and they need to spend a more appropriate amount, which is probably around half what they spend on her. Because frankly, they pay Gino Ariema money to an assistant that's not a good head coach. But you got to shape the budget up. I looked at other places. Most of the other SEC schools make between $3 and $15 million a year profit. And they have some with much smaller budgets than A&M, I want to say, only spent $80 million on football this year and took in 106. How are they making a 20 or $20 million profit? Is what your department's ran. Alabama makes a $15 or $16 million a year profit. Auburn does. Georgia makes about $5 or $6 million a year. Most places make a lot. Tennessee shows $1 million profit. And I know Tennessee does give some money back to the academic side, but you gotta spend it to make it. Alabama was breaking around even, got Nick Saban, suddenly they're making $15, $20 million extra a year. And you're getting paid massive amounts of money by the networks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, $25 million a year or something like that the SEC is going to make off it. Each team's going to make off the SEC network. And that's just plenty of extra gravy. You can, get a decent coach. And don't let basketball suffer and actually make money.
Right. I mean, Bruce Pearl, most recently, has proven UT basketball can be popular.
That's it. I mean, Pearl was profiting around $10 million a year just on basketball. I think football was making around $30 million. Basketball was making around 10. They were the profit-making sports over there. Nothing else makes a profit. And you lose a lot of revenue from basketball being down right now, and it's going to get worse next year if they keep Cuonzo Martin. And next year, maybe no matter who they bring in, unless it is Pearl, they're probably going to be bad because there's not a ton of talent. There's enough talent to win some games. With Martin's level of coaching, this team should have won 25 games. It's probably going to win 18 or 19, maybe 20, unless he makes a run in the NIT or something. This team should have won 25 in the regular season. And Martin's now, this is his 7th year of head coaching, no NCAA tournaments. You know who didn't have any NCAA tournaments when we hired them?
I know Pearl did, so Buzz Peterson.
No, Wade Houston is the only coach that I can recall us hiring.
Buzz Peterson.
Since Ray Mears, I don't think Ray Mears had any, but he was hired in the early 60s and 18s made it. I'm pretty sure DeVoe had made it somewhere.
DeVoe made it at Navy.
Well, that was after he left Tennessee.
Oh.
I think he made it somewhere before he was hired at Tennessee. He may have coached it maybe and made it there for a year before he was hired, but pretty sure DeVoe had one. But Wade Houston was an assistant. Buzz Peterson made one NCAA tournament at least at Appalachian State.
Yeah.
And then he made 2 or 3 NITs in a row.
Kevin O'Neal had made NCAA tournaments.
Kevin O'Neal went to the Sweet 16 when he hired him.
He was
Bruce
not the most
Pearl,
exciting coach, but
Kevin O'Neal was a great recruiter, and had he not had a big falling out with Doug Dickey, he probably would have had us winning 25 games a year. Because he really was bringing the talent in. He's a little crazy, played a boring brand of basketball. Jerry Green had made some NCAA tournaments. Jerry Green made 4 tournaments while he was here. Bruce Pearl made it to the Sweet 16. Bruce Pearl won a lot of games, won some lower division national championships. Bruce Pearl made it to the tournament every year here. Cuonzo Martin never made an NCAA tournament, only NITs. He's only been to the NIT year. When a coach, I was looking at some statistics. I want to say that I could really find no successful coaches that went 6 years, the first 6 years of their career, and never made the NCAA tournament. They don't just suddenly, the light doesn't, because a lot of people are saying Cuonzo Martin's young. He's not that young. He's been head coach for 6 years, and he's around 40 years old, 42, 45 years old. He's in his mid-40s. If a coach has not made an NCAA tournament by that point, it turns out they're probably not ever going to make one. And if they do make one, it's one, and then there are a bunch more years, and they don't. It just, most coaches are fired and out of coaching by 6 years of no tournaments. There's just no, people see that quickly, but Tennessee always sees things more slowly. And I said, you mentioned Auburn earlier. Auburn doesn't fool around. They do in basketball. They don't care about basketball. But in football,
you're out.
Tuberville went 12-0, should have won the national championship, but USC got picked over them. And, of course, USC turned out was cheating like a devil, had to forfeit those games. I mean, not that Auburn wasn't cheating. Auburn just didn't get caught. But 12-0 that was the year before basically the BCS title stuff started with the SEC, or 2 years before. Tuberville fired 2 years after he went 12-0. He went 8-5 and got fired.
Gene Chizik.
Gene Chizik comes in, wins the national title. 2 years later, he has a bad season. He's gone. Philip Fulmer wins the national title. Devastating next year. That team that came back in '99 should have went 13-0 again with no trouble. That team ended up having, I want to say 14 or 15 players on it that started in the NFL, and about 8 of them were Pro Bowl players.
Yeah.
In the NFL. I mean, that team was loaded as you can get. It had a 2,000-yard rusher on it, Jamal Lewis. It had Travis Henry on it.
Hey, Travis Stevens.
Travis Stevens on it, who is Tennessee's all-time single-season
Hey,
record.
we had Sean Bryson on.
Yeah, Bryson, T. Martin, who won the national championship the year before. The return to most of the defense, Albert Hainsworth, John Henderson. Did I say it? There were Deion Grant. There was
Al Wilson.
multiple Pro Bowlers. Al was gone.
Oh, I'm sorry, Raydock Thompson
Raydock
was
Thompson.
the one that was still
They
there.
had multiple Pro
And
Bowlers.
Westmoreland was a good linebacker.
But multiple Pro Bowlers on that team, and he went out and lost 3 games. That should have been warning sign number 1. 2000, we came in at 8-4. 2001, had a great season, just crap ourselves against Nick Saban in the SEC championship game. That's fine. You know, it looked like we were in good shape. But then 2002, you go and go 8-5. Can't even get a snap off against Florida. And then just blah season. Lose to Vanderbilt in 2005, 5-6. That should have been the end right there. That should have been the latest they kept Phil Fulmer. I mean, gone. You got to be gone at that point. Well, we keep him. Don't just keep him. They signed him to a contract extension where if he wins 8 games, he gets a raise. He gets another year on his contract. He brings Cutcliffe back, who helps him, of course, because Cutcliffe, every time Phil Fulmer's really good, turns Cutcliffe's there.
Yeah.
The team gets under control. Cutcliffe, brings us back a little bit, playing the SEC championship game. Cutcliffe goes to Duke.
By golly, look at Duke now.
Straight back down. Yeah, Duke's having a good season for Duke.
I'll tell you what it says more than anything about me, about how good of a coach David Cutcliffe is when Peyton Manning goes to have to work out somewhere, doesn't come to Tennessee now. He goes straight to Duke.
But the big thing about the only thing the athletic administration over there has done right lately was fired Eric Dooley every 3 years. Probably should have fired him after he lost to Kentucky. But you got to get rid of coaches. They're not. You can tell whether a coach is going to work, and when they just come out and just incomprehensibly bad like that. Like I say, Auburn doesn't sleep on it. Alabama doesn't sleep on it. The other teams that are willing to change coaches quickly, they don't get so far behind. They got Tennessee far behind. And if they let Cuonzo Martin stay, because a lot of people are saying, they can't afford to fire him. They're going to wait another year, let him use all of his recruits up. I can only imagine how 2014 or 15 will look. Probably not very good at all. Maybe they'll probably win 17 or 18 games. It's just like Buzz Peterson all over again. But you got to move fast. College basketball, if you've not shown it in 3 years, you're not going to show it. Because it's a fast rebuilding sport. You only have 12 players on your roster. You can replace half a team every year like John Calipari does in Kentucky and usually win at a high level if you're a good recruiter. That's all I've got to rant about college. I'm just mad about Tennessee.
Now we got to turn to a little bit darker part of sports. Is the field house got broken into and vandalized in Campbell County over the weekend?
Yeah, apparently some point Saturday and Sunday-ish time frame. No idea who it is yet. Someone came in, poured paint all over all the uniforms, broke a TV screen, poured paint on the training tables.
Justin said the flooring was going to have to be replaced down there too. And
Stole
the sound system.
the sound system. Hopefully they get caught. I know whoever did it's an idiot. I have no idea why you would do something like that. It just cost the school $12,000. Hopefully you get caught. You have to pay every dime of it back. Chris Burton had a suggestion that many much worse things that I can't say on the air happen to you, which I agree with him on. But it's just a terrible, stupid thing that does nothing but hurt the community and hurt the team and hurt
a team that has done so much for the community in the last
year. And I don't know if it's motivated by jealousy. Somebody just wanted to steal, make it look like a vandalizing. Maybe it's some of the jackal from Anderson County mad over the co-champions thing. I don't know. We'll see if it comes out. Hopefully they get caught.
We have some good officers in town. Hopefully they'll come out.
Excellent police force looking into it. Usually the big thing that's going to get somebody caught, and it probably will in this case, somebody's going to brag about it. I mean, you can't not brag about stuff like that. And somebody will talk, and then it's going to get found out. And, hopefully they get the maximum penalty.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me sad that, like I said, this team has come out and represented the community well, done good things, and there's always somebody who just can't handle somebody else doing good.
Yeah, probably good. Fortunately, that the shoulder pads and helmets were out for reconditioning, getting tuned up to meet the safety standards. And they just got the jerseys, but that's still, I guess jerseys probably cost $50, $100 each.
A good jersey's anywhere between $100 and $125. They have good jerseys.
$100, $125. You got 80 of them or something like that to replace. That's about $10,000. So, hopefully insurance picks up the slack.
Yeah, Justin said he was going to be meeting with the insurance people and all that.
And that's a very secure field house.
I mean, it's not like
it's got the
easy to break into.
The big metal plate over the latch, so you can't shove something in there. I don't know how they got in. And it's block walls, so I don't imagine. But it's a heavy metal door. But
yeah, and it was only the downstairs they got in.
I don't know if some. I hope it wasn't a member of the team. I wouldn't think it would be.
I can't imagine it being a member of the team.
May have been. I don't know. You just don't know who it was. I don't know how they would know to go into there and find the uniform, or why they wouldn't go upstairs. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Hopefully it comes out. Hopefully it's some Anderson County jackal, and they can look down on them with more shame.
But it just, like I said, it just upsets me that somebody took that. Like I said, they worked hard for this season.
It was a tough stuff. And those were new uniforms that had just gotten, really nice ones, ordered from Nike coming into the season. They finally got enough uniforms to actually give everybody
Uniform the team.
The numbers, and you didn't have to sit people out and not let them have a jersey. They had finally gotten enough for everybody, and it's just a step in the wrong direction for the community and for whoever did it. That's shame on you.
Yeah, so hopefully next week we'll have some good news to report that they're caught. Also, hopefully next week we'll have some special guests on board, and fans, we'll see you at homecoming Friday night.